What's your best it's not what it looks like story? I brought a hammer to the office to hang a whiteboard. I left it in my laptop bag and forgot to take it out at home. Days later my boss came up behind me, asked do we have a hammer in the office? Without thinking, I reached into my bag and handed him the hammer, still looking at the computer screen. A few seconds later I realized my boss was still standing behind me. I turned around and he was just standing there staring at the hammer. He said, seriously, you carry a hammer with your laptop? Are you a serial killer? Senior year of high school. End of the year and it's been balls hot for days and for some reason the AC isn't working. I have this pain in my taint and scrotum area and I'm complaining about it to my friend next to me in biology class. I really don't want to go tell the nurse or have a parent look at it. So I ask my friend if he'll take a peek. This was before everyone had a cell phone with a camera to do this sort of thing. He says, sure bro, I got you. The teacher tells us to split into pairs to quiz each other with flashcards for the final and then excuses himself to the bathroom. My friend and I pair up and head to the back of the lab where there's a walk-through office to the next lab and close the door behind us and move out of sight of the windowed doors, and I drop my shorts and undies and he squats down to take a look as I move my junk up and out of the way for a clear view. In walks the teacher because he wanted to grab his water bottle out of the office on his way back from the bathroom. I'm standing facing him and my friend is squatting in front of me, definitely looking like he's blowing me from the teacher's perspective. Teacher freezes and can't find words as I rush to cover myself and my friend turns around and blurts out, I'm not sucking it, I'm just looking. Teacher backs out of the office and won't look either of us in the eye for the last week of school. And for everyone asking, it just turned out to be a boil. I managed to drain it later in the shower and it healed up fine. When I was 16 my boyfriend's, now husband's, parents took me on a beach vacation with them. His dad was kind enough to carry my luggage to my room and his face was bright red. I just thought he was hot. But my boyfriend came in and goes, Sue, my dad says your luggage is vibrating. I had one of those handheld face washing devices that you put a little makeup remover pad on in my bag and it had turned on. His poor dad thought I had brought a vibrator, so I actually had my BF take it down and show them what it was so they wouldn't think poorly of me, lol. We all had a great laugh. I was in the Navy, stationed on an aircraft carrier. In the sleeping compartment I was assigned to, we had lockers called coffin lockers. Our beds were on top of the coffin lid, which we opened the way you would think to get to our stuff. These were stacked 3 high, with not quite enough room to sit up while in bed. We were on a deployment, so we brought whatever we couldn't live without for 6-12 months. One of the things I had was a rechargeable shaver. Well, apparently when I closed my locker the one night before going to bed, I jarred the battery cover and the shaver intermittently vibrated against the wall of the locker. However, I didn't realize it at first. I heard the vibration and assumed that the girl assigned to the bunk under mine was going to town on herself with a vibrator. It went on and on. So then I started thinking that it wasn't her with her vibrator. I got out of bed and opened my locker, and when I saw the shaver, I realized what I had been hearing. At that moment, the girl laying in her bunk below mine opened the curtains and gave me a look. I showed her the shaver and explained what happened. We both had a laugh when she said that she thought I had been going to town on myself with a vibrator. A coworker hit my vehicle and rather than go through insurance, I gave him an option to pay in cash to avoid an insurance hit. A couple days later he was paying me in the parking lot at night. Night shift workers. And the manager comes out of the office and heads to his car. Came over to see WTF was going on. Totally looked like a drug deal was going down. Lol. My time to shine. Okay, so I convinced my dad to do the polar plunge at this super awesome festival called Frozen Dead Guy Days. Right? Well, it was so windy that year that the warming tent wouldn't stay up, so their solution was to have an old ambulance be our place to get changed out of our frozen clothes. My dad got in there and decided he didn't want to be packed in butt naked like a can of sardines with a bunch of strangers, so his solution was to walk 1-4 mile over the road to a cafe to change in the bathroom. Well, I'm pretty sure a mild case of hypothermia set in cause he was effed up once he got to the cafe and was in the bathroom for ages. Eventually I went in there and he was still in his wet clothes. I ended up helping him get dressed, but I was struggling hard with buttoning his pants cause dude jeans are hard for girls. It was even more awkward cause he was freeballing it. Well, sure as right as I was on my knees face level at my dad's junk, Some Karen barged into the bathroom, pissed cause someone was in there forever, only to see what was, in her mind, going down. Of course, I'm effing stupid and my only logical explanation was to blurt out it's okay, he's my dad. She bolted so fast out of there. Invited my friend on a hike, needed to get my bottle from the trunk, forgot that I had to move some painting supplies earlier. The face when your tracksuit wearing Eastern European friend open a trunk lined with garbage bags and rolls plastic wrap and a hatchet in the middle of woods was priceless but do not recommend. Hard to argue is no problem. Just had to move messy things. Do not worry. I was walking along one night with my wife and we bumped hips accidentally. I bumped her again. She bumped me back harder and it escalated from there. For my final victory I timed it just right to knock her into a lamppost so she fell over, laughing. Whoop whoop, a police car had come up behind us and only seen the killing blow. She instantly started laughing so hard at the absurdity of it that tears were streaming down her face and they grabbed me to stop me attacking her anymore. I had been going over to help her up. Honest officer, it took quite a while for her to stop laughing enough to explain. Longer still for them to believe us. In high school, borrowed my parents' van to take my GF on a date. We went out for dinner and enter friends for a bonfire. She changed in the van from a skirt tights to sweat pants in between. Next day my dad pulls me aside and he's holding her tights. I start saying, "It's not what it looks like," but he cuts me off and just goes on about, "I want to make sure you guys are being safe, don't worry, I won't tell your mother," etc. I was helping out a female co-worker by giving her a ride home from work every day. She was going through a divorce and was having car issues with her ex. We both worked the same hours and it was a short distance, so I was happy to help. Anyway, one day she told me that a mouse had gotten into her bedroom, which was over her garage. I told her it's probably a simple fix, like maybe the mouse came up through a heat vent or small hole somewhere near the floor. I go up to her bedroom and get down on all fours looking for somewhere that the mouse was getting in. I took off my glasses and set them on her nightstand next to her bed. I found a small opening by a plumbing pipe and jammed some paper in it to block it off. I got up and told her that was the only place I could see and that I thought it might be fixed. I then walked out to my truck and drove home. 2 hours later, I get a call from my friend who says that her soon-to-be ex had come over and found my glasses on the nightstand. She tried to explain to him that it was completely innocent and I was just looking for a hole where the mouse may have gotten in. He just looked at her and said, "Yay, I am sure he was here looking for a hole." Getting off of work while I was in college, I worked at the student union. As I was walking I get a campus alert on my phone about a sexual assault that happened. I was wearing the exact clothing description minus the shoes, heading the same direction he was last spotted and got stopped by campus police. Never been happier that we call campus police dispatch after closing the building. Yes, they caught the guy later. A friend of ours won an award at university, so a bunch of us went to support him. Several bottles of wine later, we were hammered and our friend won. So after the ceremony we decided to all jump on him in celebration. A great idea clearly. Being drunk we weren't very subtle about it, so he saw it coming, so he sensibly ran off. We chased him. It's at this point I should mention he's a black guy and the rest of us were all white. What the security people at this event saw were around 10 white guys running after a black guy yelling, "Get him. Don't let him escape." Security guards took us all down and didn't believe he was our mate. We still talk about the race hate run of 2008. I live in not the best neighborhood in Brooklyn and a few weeks ago I was walking my girlfriend's small black 3-legged dog late one night. There's a lot of guys that hang out by a busy corner drinking, smoking on their stoops. One of them went to take a leak by a building's trash area. He was facing the building with his back to me. So, as he was peeing, Pepper, the dog, decided she was going to be stubborn and just sit down. I kept trying to get her to get up so we could go home. As I was calling her and telling her, "Come on, let's go," the guy peeing locked eyes with me through a mirror that was in the trash pile. Yo, what the F? He couldn't see the dog I was talking to because she was 10 feet behind me in the shadows. He thought I was trying to fight him while I was watching him take a leak. Not at all the case. As he was zipping up and turned around, Pepper hopped up and trotted by and broke all the tension. He was like, "Oh my bad. I didn't know you were talking to the dog." We laughed about it and carried on our separate ways. I was in a relationship with a girl who was paraplegic and needed a wheelchair. We made a cosplay of the Lamia from Monster Musume and we went into a part of the convention center that was empty to get a couple shots of the costume before going out into the crowd. At the time we didn't know it was technically off limits. So I help her out of the wheelchair and lay her down so she can get comfortable, and I was wheeling her chair off to the side to be out of sight for the photos. I always F around too much and I was pretending to run away while taunting her. I did it all the time and it always made her laugh. I think I said something like, "Good luck trying to leave without your wheels," and before I could turn around to see where I was going I was getting wrestled to the ground by the convention center security. We cleared it up and slap on the wrist for me cause we were somewhere we weren't supposed to be. Security guards got in more trouble cause they're not supposed to touch people, but their hearts were in the right place since they thought I was robbing a girl who couldn't walk. Driving back to college from my grandma's house, holding my hand up to my ear to hear myself better as I practice for a choral performance a couple days from then. Cop pulls me over, is surprised to see that my phone is actually packed away in the backseat when he asks me to retrieve it, asks me what the hell I was doing, and I get to awkwardly explain the thought process behind hearing yourself better when holding a hand to your ear. After a long stoic pause I panicked and couldn't think of anything else to say, so I went "just try it" and started singing on the side of a two-lane highway in the middle of bum F nowhere. He let me off with a warning.